and that led him down a path of drug addiction and abuse. That led to him and my mother and I being homeless, living on the streets, begging, digging through dumpsters, stealing, wondering where we were going to get our next meal. But I was blessed because I had a praying grandmother. Granny, can you stand up?
All right.
If you have any problem, tell it to her, because problems can't keep going when Granny's praying for them. And I freely share her with everyone. She's all of your Granny too.
Yes.
But she was praying for me and my family when we were living on the streets, and she was searching for us, and she was praying for us. And what seemed like the worst day of my life, when the police pulled us over and took my mom in one police car and my dad in another and me in a third, and my world came crashing down, because all that time that had been normal for me. I didn't know that my life was different than anyone else's. That was all I knew, was visiting dad in jail and prison and drug addiction everywhere around me and filth. And that was just normal. And all of a sudden, it was all torn apart and I was placed in a children's home. But that praying grandmother and my grandfather, they found me and they brought me into their home. And I was skeptical because my dad had told me about their church, how crazy they were. And so I told the judge, I'll live with them as long as I don't have to go to their church. Of course, I did have to go because I was a kid and you go where the grown-ups take you. And God worked in my heart. He softened my heart. He filled me with His Spirit.
Yeah.
I was baptized. And it took years. He worked on me and allowed me to give out forgiveness to my parents, to all the people that had hurt us through the years, and to forgive myself for the things that I had been condemning myself for. And I grew up as a young person in the youth group, and God worked in me a burden for young people that had gone through what I had been through. And I told all the other youth, someday I'm going to have a home for kids. I'm going to take care of kids that have parents that aren't taking care of them. And I ended up going to Tupelo, Mississippi, and working at Tupelo Children's Mansion, ministering to hundreds of kids that I'm still in contact with today. They're building families of their own because of the love and the godliness that they received in Tupelo. And then while I was there, God started to work in me again. And He developed in me a burden for the adults. I still love kids. I still work with kids. But if we can help our adults, that will help the kids. And so since I've come home, we've developed a ministry to reach out to the homeless, to feed the homeless, to educate people on how to minister, to be a witness and a light. Because we have a choice. We can be like my father, who allowed offense and hurt to tear him down. Yeah. It reminds me of the story of Jonah. And who knows the story of Jonah? Mm-hmm. Have you actually read the story of Jonah? We hear about the guy, and God tells him to do something, he doesn't do it, and well, he eats him, he spits him out, and he tells the people, and that's all we hear. But Jonah was a really mean guy. He was a man of God. God had given him a word, but he had a bad spirit. And the people of Nineveh had a choice when Jonah came to them with that bad spirit, but with a word from God. They could have been offended by his spirit, or they could listen to the word. My father chose to be offended by things that humans did that he didn't approve of. But we can choose, like I chose, to be like the children of Nineveh and say, God has a message for me. God cares about me. No matter what I've done, no matter where I've come from, He is choosing to redeem me. His grace and mercy is sufficient for me. No matter what anyone says, what anyone does, or where I come from, God is greater, and He'll raise you up, and He will use you to be a minister and anointing and a blessing to those around you. I thank you for loving me, for being here for me, and I'm blessed to be a part of this church and call you all family. Thank you. Amen.